Lights, camera, action.
And the winner is...
Alright, we're back. Recording again. It's been a while. We survived the trip. Well, we did, but now we're stuck at home for 14 days.
For 14 days,
We were with each other 24/7 for like 14 days, and now we're with each other again. Good thing we like each other a decent amount.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So we decided we're quarantined for 14 days. We're feeling fine. No issues there, but just to be safe, we decided to, we didn't decide, our work told us we had to, but so did Customs, so we figured it was a good idea to follow up on that. But taking this slightly, seriously, we're quarantining ourselves, we're having groceries delivered ourselves to our house, all that good stuff. But we figured to entertain ourselves, we're going to watch a different streaming movie every day. We've got, Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, all the usual stuff. So we're taking turns picking one, and our first one was actually City of God, but that's going to be part of an upcoming full episode. But then you wanted to watch the others. Well, that was one that you had picked and kind of wanted to watch.
Yeah.
So that's what this is going to be about. This is a movie I've kind of been wanting to see for a while. In high school, I had a couple friends who really liked this movie and were amazed that I hadn't seen it, so figured it was a good time to finally watch it.
Yeah, and this was one of my favorite, it feels weird to say favorite movies, but I watched this all the time when I was younger, like when the movie first came out. Me and my neighbor growing up, we used to watch it all the time. Like, one, because, we enjoyed it, but there are just a few parts in the movie that, I don't know, we thought were really funny. Like, they're not meant to be funny. Yeah.
Which parts were funny?
We'll get into the movie a little bit, so this is not really a spoiler alert. Plus, this movie came out almost 20 years ago, so whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, when the girl is, playing with her little, marionette puppet on the floor, and she's like, "Are you mad? I am your daughter." We used to say that to each other all the time. We just thought that was so funny. And then, later in the movie, when they're out, in the cemetery, and the boy's like, "What?" The way he says it, I don't know. We just thought it was so funny.
Yeah, you did start cracking up during that part of the movie.
So it's just, kids with the British accent. I don't know. We just thought that was really entertaining. So, I've been dying, one, to see this movie again, and then to, have you watch it. So I'm glad that we got around to watching this one.
Yeah.
And this one's streaming on HBO.
Yes, it's on HBO.
Yeah. So that's where we found it. I can never remember if it's HBO Go, HBO Now.
If you have an HBO subscription through cable, then you use Go, and if you don't, then you use Now, and that's HBO what we have.
Now. Yeah, so that's where we watched it. We also found this on DVD at a secondhand store recently too. So we own it on DVD actually. But anyway, so really the only big actor in this is Nicole Kidman. She plays the mom. She's a mom, and she's got 2 kids, and they live in this huge English mansion, and they're looking for help in the house. And so 3 people end up responding to an ad in the paper. It's this lady to help with the housework, and some older guy to do the yard work. And there's a third. She's a younger girl, and she kind of helps around the house too.
Yeah, she's a mute.
Yep.
This movie takes place later than I thought, for whatever. It takes place after World War II.
Yes.
And just, I don't know, all the trailers I'd seen I assumed it would take place earlier, but they kind of talk about it, and that kind of plays into the plot of the movie. Her 2 kids are sensitive to light, so they can, a rule of the house is you have to lock the door behind you before opening the next one and close all the curtains.
Yep.
Because if her kids are they're photosensitive, so if they see the daylight, then they get sick or possibly fatal. So they kind of touch on it.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird situation there. But they mention that they don't have electricity in the house, so I don't know, like, all that. Without seeing the movie beforehand, I just assumed this was, set in the 1700s or something like that.
Yeah, no, that's true. I feel like, that probably adds to it a little bit. But yeah, she said during the war they kept cutting off the power, and so she's like, we just kind of got used to it and just have kept with it anyway, especially since light makes the children sick anyway, so.
Yeah, but kind of a cool, this is considered a good movie overall, like a good recent-ish horror movie, which what I like about it is it's kind of the Jaws effect, where you don't see the shark that often, which makes it more frightening, and you don't really see the ghosts that they're looking for in this movie at all, apart from when the old woman possesses the girl in the famous scene you were kind of talking about, like when she's on the ground and she's like, "What? I am your daughter." Can't do an accent as well as you. But yeah, I thought that was like kind of creepy. It's just doors closing, and she locks up the piano and then leaves the room and comes back and it's open again. So stuff like that is the kind of creepy level to it.
Yeah, and like there's a famous scene from the trailer too, where like they have this room that, it's like full of all the furniture and things that they don't use. So of course there's sheets over everything, and as Nicole Kidman's in there, like she can hear voices and stuff. So yeah, you're right. There's little clues here and there. Like the daughter keeps saying that, "Oh yeah, I talked to this boy Victor and he says that this is his house." And you hear like the piano playing every once in a while, which like the girl says, "Oh yeah, Victor's dad is a pianist, so that's him playing the piano." But it's like you never see any of these things. You hear things here and there. So yes, definitely adds to the suspense.
And this movie, it's a little shorter than I thought too. It was like an hour 40, and more than halfway through the movie, I was kind of, all right, this is like good, but I don't see what the big deal is about it. The big deal is really when you start getting towards the climax of the movie and you realize that those new employees have something to do. They finally mention that they used to work in the house like years and years earlier, so they know the house really well. And then you can tell that they're in on something. Something is going on. The yard worker is covering up gravestones, and they just seem to be involved in some kind of plot. So
yeah, because like the old lady is like, "Oh, like we can't tell them yet." So like she's kind of alluding to there's something going on, but we don't know exactly what's with these three people. Well, and two, so Nicole Kidman questions the old lady, like the housekeeper, like, "How did you know that we needed help?" Because
the
letter that I mailed to the paper, like to put an ad, like the postman hasn't even picked up yet because the postman only came like once a week or something. So she's like questioning the lady, like, "How did you know that we needed help when the ad wasn't even in the paper?" And the lady kind of makes up some, lame story, like, "Oh, honestly, and that's when she says, "We used to work in this house and we figured we would see if someone like needed help here."
Yeah, so at that point, I thought
like you're pretty suspicious of these people, right?
At that point, 100%. But at that point, I assumed that they were like, that the workers were there to like feed whatever like spirits were there. Like they were helping the ghosts. That's what I assumed at that point. That they were there to like trap this family there and feed the ghosts. And then, so yeah, suspicion there. And then Nicole Kidman decides to go to the doctor.
The priest. She wants to visit the priest.
She's starting to get freaked out. So she wants to go into town to see the priest to like bless all the rooms and make all these spirits go away. And as she's leaving, her husband shows up. So at this point, her no husband, and she keeps telling the kids that he's away at war, and he shows up, which, without knowing what the ending would be of this movie, I was like, okay, this is getting really like coincidental and kind of weird. Like, okay, her husband just randomly shows up here, but he's there. She takes care of him. He says like his last goodbye to the family and then like leaves. And then the next morning, all the curtains in the house are just missing, and they're gone. And the kids are photosensitive, so Nicole Kidman's going crazy trying to find the the curtains and what happened. So she's going crazy trying to, save her kids because she's worried that they're all going to die, and all the 3 workers, employees are just nonchalant, kind of walking around, just saying like,
it's not a big deal.
Not a big deal. And she finally gets the kids in like a room and covers up the window, and then that night is when multiple twists start happening. So the kids like decide to leave the house. They're gonna go find they want to find their dad, and then they stumble upon the 3 gravestones that the yard worker was covering up, which I assumed one of those gravestones was gonna say Victor on it because that's the name that kept popping up. That's the kid.
Yeah, that's supposedly like the ghost, one of the ghosts in the house. The girl keeps seeing. Yeah.
But she goes to him and she reads the 3 names of the 3 workers that were working there. So what? Mills, Lydia, and Tuttle.
Yeah, Mr. Tuttle.
And so the 3 workers are actually ghosts. So that was like the first twist that like I wasn't too surprised by, but I was like, oh, okay. Wasn't half expecting that, but okay. Yeah. Not too out of the ordinary there. So now they're running from the 3 of them. They lock themselves in the house. And how does it go from there? How does the next twist get revealed? I'm trying to remember.
I say, so yeah, the kids find that out, and as Nicole Kidman's like searching through the house for like the curtains, the drapes, she finds a picture of the 3 workers like dead. Because I think the date on the pictures is like 1891 or something. And I feel like maybe that's part of the reason why I thought this took place like further back than it did. But yeah, so it's, they used to take pictures of the dead, like hoping that their souls would live on through the pictures. And so it's a picture of the 3 of them like posed after they've passed away. And so she realized like, oh my God, these people are dead. And so kind of freaking out there. And you're right, I'm kind of forgetting how all of it comes together. But then the big twist is that, because I think Nicole Kidman's trying to like rationalize these people, like, oh my God, you're dead and blah blah blah, and oh no, this is what it is. So there's like Nicole Kidman bursts into this room, and there's all these people sitting at the table, and it's this old lady who like her daughter has talked about before, and she's the one
who possessed her daughter earlier when she saw her in the dress.
Yeah, she's kind of in this trance, and kind of a long story short, you find out that all the people sitting at this table, they're not ghosts, but it's actually Nicole Kidman and her family who are the ghosts. The people that are in the house, the dad who plays the piano, the old lady, the little kid Victor, those are real life people living in the house, and Nicole Kidman and her kids are dead, and they're the ones who are the others in this house.
And that was a cool. I didn't see that coming, so that made the movie even. Movies rely on the ending. If it's a good ending, then it'll be a better movie. And this was a good ending because all that coincidental stuff that happened throughout the movie, where I was going, all right, this is kind of weird. It happened because there are ghosts. Like her husband showing up, he's dead and died in the war, so his ghost showed up to the house.
Yep.
And the workers randomly showed up because they're ghosts to that house. So they were there to talk to Nicole Kidman and the kids, and they would have conversations throughout the movie like, oh, how are we going to convince them? The kids will be easy to convince, but the mother's going to be hard. So they would say things like that, and you'd be like, what are they talking about?
Yeah, convince them of what?
But then you go back and it's to convince them that they're dead. The kids would be easy. She's going to be tough.
Yeah.
And throughout the movie, the workers would call at the time what we thought were ghosts, they would call them intruders. So
the intruders.
They would call, the real life people intruding on their home intruders. So, and Victor was just the kid sleeping in that room, and that's why you would hear him from time to time, because that was his room. That's where he was at. So it all came together really well, like pretty, in a really satisfying way for me. And the reason that they died was, and this was one thing where I'm like, I don't know if they need to explain a little bit more, but it made me wonder, is Nicole Kidman had smothered and killed her kids and then like shot herself, and that's how they died.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, like, what drove her mad? Was it that her husband was dead, or?
Because and they bring it up a few times, like they kind of mention a few times, like, oh, there was an incident,
Yeah.
and there are a number of times where like the girl says like, oh yeah, that was the day that mom went mad, and like mom's been mad before, and Nicole Kidman talks about like, oh, her migraines, and oh, the children make too much noise. So there's like kind of hints here and there that something happened and that she had hurt the children, but. Yeah, I remember the first time seeing this movie being just, like, blown away.
Yeah. No, for sure. This is similar. I'm glad this wasn't an ending that was ruined for me over the years. Cause, Because, this came out in 2001, so...
And then the payoff's good. Like you said, there's that little twist, like, oh my god, the workers are dead.
Yeah, if
crap.
that would have been the final twist, I would have been like, alright, I don't see what's so special about it. But to have
like
another
that,
one on top of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, and in the end, like they stay in the house, and the family, the real life family with Victor and all them, they leave, and yeah, they kind of accept their life as ghosts. Like Mills, who is the maid, the main worker, who you're suspicious of the whole time. She just goes, oh, things will carry on. I'll put tea on, ma'am. Like, so they just live there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a really, really good movie, and it ends with her telling her kids like that I'll always love you. So that's just what made me wonder, like, what drove her crazy. Like it's kind of redeeming her in a sense, but I don't know what drove her mad in the first place.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you had time to think of a score for it at all, but I thought this movie was really good.
Do you have a score for it?
I think I was kind of looking at my rankings, and I always kind of look and see, like, if I like it more than these movies, at what point do I not think it's better than these? And I think I was putting it around an 8.2 or 8.3, kind of in that range, which some listeners might be upset because I was getting some messages and flack for my score on Miracle, which I think I gave an 8.2.
Tragedy.
To it. So, like, this is probably in that same... I don't know. This is probably not... This had a great twist ending, which I really enjoyed. I know what the ending to Miracle is, which, I mean, doesn't mean it's a bad movie, but it's just a different payoff. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I was kind of thinking in that range, like the 8.2 or 3 range. But, yeah, it was... I thought it was really good. I'm definitely glad that I finally got a chance to see it.
Yeah, it's a really good thriller, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a very scary movie.
No, it's definitely more thriller and kind of, because there's no scary parts.
No.
It's really like suspenseful and things like that.
I mean, there are a few like jump scare moments. Like there are a few times that got me and stuff, but a lot
of moments that make you go, oh, like, like music's playing in the background, or the Nicole Kidman's character hears creaks going on in the room above her, and she is assumed it was Lydia, and tells Mrs. Mills to be like, go tell Lydia to stop it, and then Mills leaves the room, and you hear the creaking, and then she looks out the window, and Lydia's outside with Mrs. Mills, so that's one of those, like, oh, moments. So not scary, but kind of, suspenseful. Yeah, suspenseful.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel kind of conflicted with the score, because I feel like, I've seen it so many times, and I knew what all the twists were, so I feel like I'm probably giving it a lower score than, if I had just seen it fresh for the first time. But, I'd probably give it like a 7.9 and 8. Like, it's a good movie. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like knowing the ending, like there are a few times where I'm like, God, this movie isn't as great as I remember. But also, I was like 10 years old when I saw it, 12 years old. So, for the first time. So, yeah.
No, all right. Yeah, sounds good. So that was our day 2 movie again. City of God was day 1, but that'll be part of a full episode upcoming. Yep. So we're going to try to do a little short, 15, 20 minute just quick review of each quarantine movie that we're going to watch.
Yeah, so what's next on the docket?
Rounders. We watched Rounders already. Yep. We got to record the quick review of it. Mm-hmm. And then after that, we got to pick our next streaming movie.
Yeah. Yeah, so stay tuned for the City of God full episode. Like you said, we'll be covering that and The Departed. go check out the others on HBO, and then get ready for our next episode. We'll be recapping Rounders, which we watched on Netflix.
Yep. Let us know if you have a score for the movie. Let us know what you thought of the others. Social media, we're at Oscar Reel Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Make sure to subscribe and rate and review our podcast. That helps us out, helps us become more relevant. So please, if you're on Apple Podcasts, just give us a quick rating and type up a quick review for us. And yeah, that's all that we've got. So from Matt and Haley at the quarantine home, this has been the Oscar Reel Movie Pod.